My name is Naomi Barosy. My maiden name is actually Philitas. Um, my business name is CWB Sweets. It represents my daughters, Cassidy Regina Barosy, Sweetness.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, I have the owner of CWB Sweets, Miss Naomi, and I can say I've had these cakes that she's done. I wish I could show you, how beautiful, how moist, but that's what the links in the description are for, and you can click on those as you listen, or for the few of you who like to watch and see the visual, you can see her beautiful cakes and her face and see what she has. The cake was finished in less than 72 hours, so I can't show you guys my cake, but the rum cake, Miss Naomi, was awesome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I am awesome. I am awesome. Reminiscing about your cake, and I want to know, how did you get started into the professional side of making sweets? Because I have a feeling you've been baking probably for ever, the perfection you had in your cake. But how did this start to say, I'm going to actually share my gift with the world?
Ooh, well, it all started actually with my daughters in high school. So the business name comes from them. When they were in high school, they were so into cupcakes, and we put this name together, and they were making cupcakes for their school boards um, all over town. So anytime any kids' birthday parties, the school wanted cupcakes, they were doing that. So once they were graduate high school, they went venture to college, and the business was just like silent. Nothing was happening. And I always loved to cook, but I never really ventured into baking. And then one day during this COVID, like everybody, many of us were unemployed. And that was when I decided, you know what, let me pick up this baking again and the CWB suite. And that's how I started baking. So at first I started doing it from few friends, and friends started like, oh, your cake really is good. And the reason why they like it is not so sweet. Then they start, you know, tell other people about it. And there was this restaurant, this guy always go out there and purchase food. And one day I brought him a slice of my cake. He was like, oh my God, this is so good. You make this? I said, yeah, I make this, and I also make cremas. He was like, I need to taste your cremas. And then from there on, I started selling it and posting it on IG, sharing my cremas. That restaurant actually carries my cremas for me, and he actually sells my cremas. That's how CWB Street started, and that's how it was like an extra income and a time of need.
And let the audience know who may not know about, that great Haitian, recipes and desserts, what cremas is, and, just try to describe it as much as you can. And I want you guys to Google it too, ask Google, but I want you to give the description.
Of course. Well, cremas to me, I always it's almost like a Bailey's. And for a lot of Hispanic, they might similar to coquito. So it has the same ingredient: the coconuts, the carnation milk, condensed milk, or sugar, vanilla extract, different things. Some people put nutmeg in it. Some people put different things to give it that different flavor, that kick. And of course, you have to put the rum. The rum is what it is. That what makes it, and it definitely has to be like the 100 proof, 100% proof alcohol in there to give it that kick. But is the thickness of it, because ours is a little thicker than a regular coquito or Bailey's. That's why I make it like crema. It's like a creamy type of drink.
And now it's interesting, and I tell people all the time, I say we all pretty much eat the same thing. We just call it something different. Maybe we prepare something, just slightly different, but the whole world, give or take, especially with, Africans and those who were dropped off on one island or at one place.
Uh-huh.
We all eat the same thing still to this day. And so we have more in common than we have, apart. Now, when creating a food business like this, and I'm trying to see, anybody who might be like 14 out there who says, wow, I love baking, I could do this. What are some of the regulations that they may have to follow, or do they have to get like a food handler's card here in the state of Florida? Like, give us the game on that.
Oh, great, great, great question. So, if you really want to get started, first of all, with any business, you have to register your business, of course. Spend that money, register the business to make it, of course, legalized, especially the business name. As far as food handling, as long as you're cooking at home, you don't really require a license or anything like that. If you own a storefront or if you going to a different place to bake it, yes. Once it's at home, they do not require that in the state of Florida. Also, I believe also in the state of New York, because I was looking into that because I was thinking of moving to New York. So baking at home does not register your business name. Once you register your business name to make it legal, you could start start baking.
Wow. Okay. So it's that simple. And, Florida laws are great for entrepreneurs. I tell you, in California, please look at all the laws because in some states, you need a license even to braid hair. And that's America for you.
Yes. Yes. Well,
So,
even in Florida, you need a license to braid hair too. It all depends. If you need a license to braid hair if you're putting extension. See, there's always something. But if it's just regular braiding your hair, like different things without putting an extension, you actually do not need a license. Because I look into that as well. Because I'm telling you, when the COVID hit, the struggle was real. So you had to try the different things, see what you can do to make it happen.
Definitely. And again, the South is good, for natural hair. I remember living in Texas and they were trying to say for natural hair, you need a license. And I'm like, people fought and said that doesn't make sense. And I know Florida had a similar, fight, not too long ago. So, let's talk about COVID, because this was a business born in COVID. But what we know is people have to eat, especially here in America. I mean, I sit at 200 something pounds. We have to eat. So food business, I'm glad to hear, popped off. But you are like a SaaS professional. She's not just sassy, y'all. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, her background, she knows e-commerce and all these things. So how did you see, those fields turn during COVID? Because those are really jobs that you could have worked from home for a lot of it. So why were they laying people off drastically? What was going on?
Well, the SaaS company that I worked for many, many years, was the business. It was mostly about lifelines. So when our ex-president came into power, a lot of those benefits were cut off. So companies that were dependent on these consumers using lifelines, so like the Boost Mobiles, the T-Mobile getting the free phones because you have Medicaid or food stamp, those things were being cut off. And that company, their software was mostly for this type of business. So it was a big drastic laid off. So I was unemployed with that company for a while. Then I got another company that I was working with, also a SaaS company, but it was mostly for integrating different platforms. It was more analytics. They were working with PayPal, and that company also went down. So when that happened, it was just like, okay, what's going on? And every other opportunities that I did come across, it was either moving out of state, or the pay wasn't what I was looking for, or they were too far away if they were in Florida. So that was when I decided, you know what, let me stay at home, collect that unemployment, and let me try to make this business work for me. And for a while, it did make ends meet, but I know I was not able to sustain all my other expenses. So I started working with other companies. which I don't want to name the other company because of their whole proprietary, the way it works. But yeah, I started working for another company, which is right here in South Florida. It is still kind of far, but because of COVID, I got blessed. I work from home, but it is about an hour away from my house. So the fact that I work from home, I kind of bake in the mornings, make sure I have time to deliver, and then come to work in the evening till late at night. So
Okay, and I'm so glad you didn't say that company name, so you wouldn't have to be like a former guest who told me she was making over $250,000 at like 23, and then had to call me saying my people are talking about how I'm double dipping in tech, and I'm like, please, no, don't say anything that is gonna make me edit it out 3 months later. Now, with the baking, and man, I tell you guys, if you go to the Instagram and you see some of these cakes, is it possible? And I know you also, do other things more than just baking that you can buy, jar up. I don't know if you do pickles or not, but
I
I know
do.
you do. Is this stuff able to be shipped, and could this be a future Amazon play? Have you looked into that?
I have not looked into that, but yes, I have shipped my pickles and I have shipped my cremas. And actually, I am looking into shipping my cake, depending on the cake, because I have a friend of mine who does similar type of business in New York, and she was telling me, yeah, you can ship it. This is how you need to do to package it and ship it. So I'm looking forward to doing something like that because I think in the long run, it'll help my business grow more if I'm able to ship it, across country. So that would be amazing.
And with that shipping, I know a lot of people, who I don't want to use preservatives, or I want to use very few. Is there any new technology out there that allows you to box it up, keep it refrigerated, and ship it, to New York, California, Seattle?
The beauty of pickles and cremas, you don't have to keep it refrigerated, right? Pickles, the older it stays, the better it tastes because it's pickled, right? And so is cremas. The longer it stays and it gets creamier, it tastes good. So those does not need to be like a shelf life or anything like that. So that's the beauty of it. That's why you are able to ship it without having to worry about anything. But as far as packaging, you just need to make sure, because they are glass jar, you just need to make sure that you package in safe enough where it's fragile, where you label that it's fragile, where it's not gonna break.
And I'm putting in my order for pickles now because I look in the back of my refrigerator and I'm almost out. Next time I do fish this week, I will be done. So
Ooh,
yeah, I'm putting my order in
yes.
now. You guys want a great recipe? You get the CWB Sweets pickles, and then holler at me if you need some African pepper. It is 50 habaneros, some onion, tomato, Maggie cubes,
Yes,
and some other
yes,
things,
yes.
But the cakes, and you're talking about shipping those. I've heard from so many bakers saying that's such a hard thing to do, especially when you're using fruit. Is there some new packaging that has been invented, or is next day air or today air been reinvented? Like, how would that work?
Well, if you're using fruits, definitely I would not recommend fresh fruits. Maybe use dry fruits, right? So there's different fruits you could use. You could use dry fruits like the cranberries, the raisins. You could use those. To me, that's what I would utilize and ship them overseas or international or anywhere you want to ship them. And you just basically, if in your packaging too, out, and I'm just thinking out loud here, you could
Mhm.
recommend different steps, like if they want to present it different way. This is the type of fruits that they will need to get, how to cut it up, and how to center it in the middle if you want to do it that way. Or if you wanted the upside down pineapple fruit cake, so I could do that. But that definitely will need to do a 2-day air shipping because I really think it could stay out, out for about 5 days without any issues. But the fact that it cools in, it may affect the fruit. So that definitely, I would do a 2-day shipping for any of these type of orders.
I love that.
If that makes any sense to you.
No, that makes sense. But the future is near and here, and being able to transport. For those of you, Nahomie can't relate because she can't go this far back. But for those of you who can remember the old Star Trek, teleporting is going to be a thing, and they're doing it with food already. So it's interesting. It's not perfected, but it's interesting. Check out The Future is Faster Than You Think for more information on that. With your products being sold in stores, are you going to be making a push now that, I mean, Florida, for us who have transported here and only been here a year, everything seemed to be open. But now that everything is open and, folks are vaccinated, hopefully that should be vaccinated, stores, are you making a push for stores to hold your products, and which products do you want them to hold first?
See, that's big. So that definitely, if you're going to have stores pushing your products, you're definitely going to need the licensing. And that's where a lot of investment will come into play, because there's a lot of health regulation you would need to follow. So that is in the near future, something that I'll think about. Definitely, I have been thinking about it. But again, I have to see where the income is coming first. I need to build my clientele, small clientele first, then expand bigger. And the more I expand, then I could do the storefront.
So teachable moment for those who, don't know, but they may have a real passion, but, starting is the hardest part in anything. And then when you take your business to the next level, whatever that is, starting again is the hardest part. So it's like working out and, okay, I got to start again and I want to go more weight. Is it the licensing? Can you talk about, from your research, how much of a barrier, let's say if it's even like mom and pop stores, like Isabel Seafood, mom and pop type store, you want to put your pickles there, you want to have cakes there. What is the licensing? And is that different than being in a Publix or a Whole Foods?
I don't think it's different. From my research, they all require the same level of the same licensing. And not only that, the regulation, they would need to see that you have a, what's it called? That's a word for the kitchen. Forgot the word. So your kitchen has to be to the level for like a commercial type of
like
kitchen.
Certified? Okay, it has to be a
certified kitchen,
commercial.
certified commercial kitchen. So like everything needs to be at a certain degree being processed or being done before they will allow it in shelf life. And not only that, they also want you to label and have expiration date. So how long can it stay out there without it actually go bad? So all that needs to be researched, put into play before you could actually start selling them out in the store. Although, like I was saying, the pickles is pickled, the longer it stays is better, but because of food regulation, they still want you to put an expiration date on those. And for you to do that, you actually have to leave the food out there for that X amount of time to see how long really it's gonna take for it to go bad. And your kitchen also has to be like a commercial kitchen, licensed to be commercial kitchen, and certain temperatures for your fridge to be. So all that, something that definitely needs to happen first.
Okay.
And you can still do them at home, but you still have to make everything legalized.
Yes. Now, do you know, because I could hear somebody right now, sometimes I hear the haters, sometimes I hear those who are interested, and I can just hear them say, give us a range. Do you need an additional 20,000, or is it more like you need an additional 100,000 of the hoops and the licensing that you have to like jump through to go to that step?
More close to the 100,000 to hope to go to that step.
Okay.
That's why a lot of people usually end up staying small and don't venture out, because the expense that it takes before you get that revenue, that return, it's long term. You really have to be passionate about what you do, what you want to do, and how far you want to go. And
And
believe
what
me, I
we
want to go all the way.
good. I like to
I
hear
want to
that.
try to go all the way.
I like to hear that. I have a friend who went from the, you know, the home to her commercial kitchen. Actually, I've had a couple guests who've done that, and they don't regret it. And most people won't jump out on faith. And we have to remember, especially in Florida, there are venture capital funds. There's all type of startup, you know, monies to help with that. You don't have to just do it all yourself, people. What you do need to do, though, is, you know, send me an email and we can walk you guys down those steps. And they're not like instant, because you know, it's a lot to make sure that you're all in on your business, but there are funds out here available. And I really like to preach that wherever I go, because, you know, Florida has tons of money, and it's just meeting and shaking the right hands and making sure your I's are dotted, T's are crossed, as
Mm-hmm.
they say. Now,
Yes.
is it the same rule if you had your own shop and, you know, you had your mom and pop shop? Would you have to go through the same licensing?
Honestly, I haven't looked into that because I'm thinking owning your own mom and pop shop, like a little bakery shop, the workload is so much. It's like, the commercial. If I don't know, if people back in the days, time to make the donuts type of commercial. You wake up very early and sleeping very late, so that does take a lot. Where it's different, where if you have someone carry those stuff for you, where you could just make them in a batch and just sell it at Publix, and when they load, you just make sure you restock them. But the mom pop store is like fresh every day, and that's a lot of man hours. I don't know if I'm ready to tackle that on yet, so that's why I have not researched that one yet, because you have to have a storefront, you have to have that commercial licensing, and you have to have the employees. So you have to have employees. So that's a whole different ball game.
Well, you know, we take off the limits here at Diversified Game, like Disney World. You know, you make a whole thing out of a swamp that's a paradise, and you just
Yes.
take the limits off, totally outside of the box. And whether it's a mom and pop shop or a pop up shop or a food truck, food cart that has your stuff, you know, it's just however you want to do it. I think what's most important, and what I love that you said, is what you're willing to take on, because something might make you $1,000,000, but it doesn't mean that you would like it, enjoy it. And it's good to be able to
Hmm.
enjoy what you do.
What you do. Yes.
Yeah. What's the best part of baking and making, you know, delicious foods?
I like to bake for people that love or enjoy eating. I took I take a lot of pleasure in seeing people enjoying my food and complimenting me on it. So I bake with love because of that. I don't bake because, oh, this recipe is gonna be great. I bake knowing that person that's gonna taste or eat it really gonna enjoy it and talk about it for a few days. That's that's my pleasure. I love that.
Mm.
And then that's why sometimes I'll just bake and tell my friend, come over. I just did some great recipe. I think you guys gonna love it. And my friends will tell you they are my testers, but now they're all complaining because they're gaining weight. But but they are my testers because I like to see people enjoy my food. And many times, to even take that a step further, sometimes like they having events, they don't even order, but the fact that I know their guests gonna love it, I'll just start doing different things to bring over there just so they could taste it and talk about it.
Well, for the friends who say they're retired because they put on too much for COVID, I'm going to raise my hand and say the new batch of testers are always willing and able, just no queso para mí. So, you know, that, that that's beautiful. Now, with your business, and the best is yet to come, but what is a community give back that you're doing or that you would like to do in the future?
Good question. Huh. If I take it about the community give back, it'll be for my home country, my community give back. It's not a community out here, but I always do give back home. Um, my family and I are always shipping things to the needed in Haiti. We don't just ship things to people we know. We just shipped it to where we grew up, the neighborhood, where we know there's a lot of kids out there that need things. So even like with used shoes, clothes, pants, whatever, we do send those out. They even pots, believe it or not. Sheets, anything that you guys think probably you finish using, you don't like, you don't care for. There's people that need that. So we always try to give back that way. But now there has been a freeze. Now, no boats going out there, not because of the recent event, but before the recent event. So a lot of shipping companies haven't been going out there, but we still try to box stuff when the shipping companies start opening again for us to ship back. So that's how I give back. Not that I'm saying people out here doesn't need it, but I care for my country. I feel a lot of people in my country need it a lot as well. So which is what we do.
Yeah, and there's no shame wherever you want to give back. I mean, we have people nowadays giving back to lizards and dogs and saying those are their, babies, whatnot. And I'm just for humans. So I, to each his own. You're giving back to humans. It's all good, at least in my book. Now, what I want you that are listening, or those of you who watch, I want you to share this game, and I want you to go in the description box and check out and see if there's anything that can be shipped to you, or if you're here in South Florida, something that you can, have delivered or picked up, whatnot. That's if you can get through the CWB Suites Golden Gates, and they are Golden Gates at headquarters. It's like going into Mar-a-Lago. Actually, it's easier to get into Mar-a-Lago. But I thank you, Nahomie, for the game. Do you want to leave the people with anything?
Yes, if they are interested in ordering, they can call this number, which is a CW Suite number, at 561-713-5114. Myself or my marketing person, I do have an employee, will contact you, place your orders. If you're local, you could pick it up. And if you also want to be delivered, we do charge if you want to be delivered, but we do deliver as well.
You guys have gotten the game. Make sure you share it. Change somebody's life. Be blessed.
Are you tired of the violence? Tired of the injustice? Police brutality, rampant discrimination, lack of gun control in this failed bias socioeconomic experiment called America? Or maybe you need a break from the relentless grind and want to regain control of your destiny, your wealth, your health, and your purpose. Diversifiedgame.com has the right course for you. Prepare for my first trip to Africa. Looking to reconnect with your roots, start a new business, or just a fresh start. Africa, aka the motherland, is waiting. Don't let the Chinese and the Mzungus have the fun and also take over the motherland. From Cairo to Mombasa, from Dakar to Cape Town, Africa has something for everyone, from business opportunities to the most amazing people, safety, leisure, and landscapes. The opportunities abound. It is time for the diaspora to reconnect with their roots. Time to reconnect with the birthplace of humanity. Africa is the last frontier. Get your head in the game and reclaim your legacy. The writing is on the wall. Babylon is falling. Give up the stress, grind, and violence inflicted on our people on this continent, and prepare for a journey of restoration enjoyed by connecting with the land of your ancestors. Check out our new course and kick off your adventure at diversifiedgame.com.